everybody, and welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight Series. My name is Kelly Pikes with Action Coach Tidewater, Virginia. Today, I have Rachael Seda with me. She is the CEO and co-founder of Mix and Shine Marketing. Welcome, Rachael. Really appreciate you being here today.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks for having me.
Hey, just to set the stage for the viewers, please just give us a brief overview of your background and tell us a little bit about Mix and Shine Marketing.
Sure. So I always loved marketing. Went to school for marketing, knew that's what I wanted to do. Not somebody who had to jump majors. That was dedicated to that and video. I was really into video. And when social media came about, I was just graduating. And I just saw such opportunity for small brands to now compete with these big brands in ways that big brands were scrambling to figure out. And I thought that was super interesting. So I started my career in DC building social media programs for associations and nonprofits, and then working for an international agency and doing the same with really large scale clients. And I started Mix and Shine because as this happens, that agency was getting acquired. And the agency that it was acquiring it was really focused on media relations, and they were really focused on kind of like one thing. And so a client would come and they say, I want to get on the Today Show. And my job was just to pitch and get them on the Today Show. It didn't matter if I didn't really actually think that product, that's what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was realizing is the farther we got away from this more comprehensive approach and from the client's true goals, the more I felt like I actually could not support them. And the clients that we were really working with as an extension of their team and including like a really good marketing mix, they were seeing great results, and they weren't exactly the clients that had the biggest budgets either. And so I thought to myself, social media and digital marketing was really my passion. And I learned so much at this agency, but now that they were going a different direction, I kind of felt like it was an opportunity to kind of figure out, could I do this on my own? And I won't say it wasn't without a little help from a margarita and a little tequila talking it over with a colleague. And I said, I'm adding it up. I'm adding up the hours of work and adding up, we're doing all the things. We're invoicing. I kind of learned a lot there. I said, well, what's the worst that could happen? And I really did want to figure it out before I had kids and all that good stuff. And I wanted to create an environment, particularly where women could still have a very meaningful career, but also go pick up their kids if they needed to. And I thought, there's no better time than now to try. And I remember when I told my boss, who I had a lot of respect for, she said, well, just give me 6 more months. And I said, I don't have 6 more months.
Yeah.
So I got to figure this out now. So I went off and started Mix and Shine. It was just me and one other person and a couple of contractors at one point. And I really never thought it would grow to be what it is today. But I'm excited that we're here now. We're a full service integrated digital marketing and social media agency. That was 10 years ago, actually in July. So I've had the company for 10 years. And then we just acquired a paid ads agency actually last month. So we are merging kind of those operations and things in that acquisition, and able to offer our clients even more robust paid advertising. But really, I kind of talked to this before, what our focus is to look at, like, what is a client's goal and work backwards from that to really create the right marketing mix to help them shine. And that's usually not one thing, but for some clients, it's slow in some things and more in the other until they increase budget or hit certain targets and have a certain threshold where we say, okay, now we've gotten that, let's put more ad spend to get here. So that's Mix and Shine.
Yeah, excellent. So you're the co-founder, CEO. What's your structure look like? I mean, is it LLC, S Corp, C Corp?
Yep. So it's an S Corp.
Okay, excellent. So
We started as an LLC and then
yeah,
we became an S Corp.
yeah, there's some good
I
advantages.
leave all that to the accountant,
Yeah, absolutely. So your current role, tell us a little bit about your current role as CEO. What's the day-to-day for you?
Well, every day at an agency is different. I usually, let's see, today I did an all hands meeting I take time with my team and especially my leadership team and management team to make sure that they are staying on track, that they're good to go, that there's not anything they need from me. And then I really focus on the growth of the business. And then making sure that, my team is able to service the clients the best they can. And then I do participate in some of like the strategy for some of the larger clients and as my team needs. And then otherwise, my job now has really evolved to growth, sales, taking care of the team, and then also making sure that we're um, involved both in the entrepreneurial community. So I'm on the local board and then the regional board for the Entrepreneurs Organization, and do a lot of work there to help other entrepreneurs. And just to meet and mingle and learn from other entrepreneurs in different spaces and see how I can help them as well. So that's kind of my time has recently kind of shifted in the past, I would say 12, 18 months, to really focusing on being kind of out and about.
Yeah, that was kind of going to be my next question in your role. I mean, how many hours are you spending working, with your business, and how is it divided between on your business and in your business, strategy planning on, on your business and then the day-to-day job?
One of the best things someone told me when I first started my business, and actually it was a large insurance company locally, an owner there that I knew, and he's since sold that company for millions and millions of dollars. So good for him. But I remember I was just a fledgling young 20-year-old, 20 something year old. I won't give away my age. And he said, the biggest challenge that you're going to find is the balance between working in your business and on your business. Because if you get sucked all the way in, you'll never work on it and you'll never grow. And I really have carried that with me throughout the 10 years to really make sure that, that wasn't always the case. I mean, I've worked in the business and there's still some things that I work on in the business very much so, but I've set it up over the years in order to grow and scale that I was working on the business. And so, I mean, now I'm probably 20%, uh, 20 to 30% client work and 70% working on the business and with my team. And honestly, I owe it all to them. Like growing a team is one of the hardest things you'll do, but it's one of the most rewarding too. And if you have the right people in the right positions and you um, really give them the autonomy to do what they should do and you trust in them, it's amazing the things that they'll take care of. And I would say, I've worked for people who micromanage, and I think, oh, that must be a horrible way to live because I think, hire people that you trust, grow them, invest in them, and it can make a world of a difference for yourself personally, your own,
Yeah.
your own life, but also in growing the business because you just can't do it all.
Yeah, we find that as one of the biggest issues with business owners, entrepreneurs, is the fact that they want to try to do it all and they have a terrible time delegating and
Yeah.
listing off and it's really hard for them to let go and so that they can focus on what they need to. So good on you for seeing that earlier, having somebody tell you that early, because that is definitely you have to be able to do that. So well, let's move on to what makes your business so special. So who do you serve primarily? I mean, if I were in the audience, how would I know if I'm a good fit for your service?
Yeah. So we work mostly with medium to larger size businesses. And we're looking at CPG, so consumer packaged goods, food and bev, healthcare. So we have a lot of medical practices as well, and a healthcare, a deep healthcare expertise. And then B2B and e-com. So we have a good amount of clients actually that have a hybrid of e-com and brick and mortar. And typically, I know if they're the right client, if they come and they have one brick and mortar location and they're either looking or are on e-com or they're looking to have multiple locations, that's a good client fit for us.
Okay. So what makes your business unique? Why do customers or your clients choose you?
Great question. There's a million agencies you can work with. But I think the most important thing for us is we really function as a extension to our clients team. So many of our clients, marketing in general, not one person can do that full job for you. So even if we have clients that have a 10-person marketing team and they still use us to support in many different campaigns. We have some clients that don't have a marketing contact. We're working with the business owner
Mhm.
directly. And those are two sides of the spectrum, right? But still they need marketing support, and one person can't do it all, and a team of people can't do it all. So our real unique, position is that we function as an extension of your team. So many of our clients refer to us as their marketing team. Many of our clients feel that they don't feel like we even have another client because we are, always communicating, always on top of things. We're, we're feisty and nimble as a boutique team. And our clients don't feel that. They feel like they are our number one. And then, of course, results oriented. We are constantly measuring, looking, pivoting on top of trends from organic and a paid perspective, and looking at the results and looking at how we can scale. So that goes for our smaller clients and our bigger clients. So I think that's really what makes us stand out.
What's one thing you wish more people knew about your business?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Knew about my business. I mean, I think most people, it's so funny because a lot of people, we get a lot of clients just from where our location is. They walk by it to go see their bankers and they see it and they look us up and they go, I just thought you all looked so fun. And so I wanted to talk to you because I actually need marketing, and they said you guys were a great team. And so we are really fun, but it's a lot of hard work.
Mhm.
And I think every person here is really invested in their craft and obsessed with marketing. And I think a lot of times people do think, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal to post something on social media. Like it shouldn't cost that much. And really to do it right and to really grow a brand on social, it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of expertise. And I think often because either someone had a bad experience or they just don't really understand what marketing can do. They just don't really realize that it's an expertise like any other industry or any other craft. So
Yeah, and you mentioned, it's more than one person. I mean, a person that is really good at, let's just say, social media, Facebook, whatever, they're not the ones that are going to be working website stuff. I mean, you have to
yeah,
have people do every single channel almost, because they're
yep,
experts in it. So, um, well, this leads me to marketing, which is something that, is vital to every business, and you're a marketing agent, so you know that. But it is an area that so many businesses struggle with marketing. They think you say marketing and they just think it's throwing money away because they're not testing and measuring the marketing, right? But
sure.
marketing should be an investment. I mean, the more you put in, the more money you should get out of it, and it should pay for itself, or ultimately. So I'm always curious on what successful businesses are doing on what percent of your monthly sales typically do you guys reinvest back into your marketing budget?
Yeah, so we reinvest anywhere from 5 to 10%. And actually, uh, something that's a little different for us, and I've worked at a few agencies, is we treat our own marketing at Mix and Shine as a client. So we have client meetings for ourselves, both internally and externally, depending on who needs to be brought to the table. Um, and we have a marketing calendar. We have paid ads. We do everything like we would do for a client. And we log the hours like we do for a client because I believe it's just as important. And that often does get pushed to the wayside. If it's not positioned as a client, it's like, it's like, the shoemaker's child. So we treat it as a client, we treat it as just as important as a client. And I think that's the best thing that we've done is to kind of shift that focus. And I know it's hard to do, but for many businesses, but I think that's really important.
So for your business, how many different marketing strategies do you use, and what's the number one marketing strategy that's, brought you the most business over time?
Yeah, so social media, of course. So we have organic social media. We do a lot of both post trending content and then also engaging and building relationships and community there. And then we have a podcast called The Corporate Dropout. We have an email list, so we send trends, top trends you can try right now, tips, things like that. And then um, email, podcast, social media. Those are our core things, outside of like some speaking events. And then we do run ads, so both on Meta and Google. None on print, but all online.
Okay. So you talked about measuring and everything. What approach have you taken to track your leads? You know,
Yeah, so for our leads, like we actually see, actually ironically, like I said, just, and it's funny because I work with a lot of and have a lot of friends that have service businesses where they're like electricians or what have you, and they have their cars wrapped. And I've thought about doing it because just having our name on this building and the place that we're at gets us a lot of leads.
sure.
But it's actually not that. It's that somebody looks at it, they ask somebody else in the building, they look at our social media. I've gotten people that I had no idea that they were following us, like big, big, big beauty brands. Somebody goes, "Hey, my boss told me to reach out. She's been following you on social media." And I was like, "Really? Wow, that's cool."
Mhm.
So, our organic social media, I think, it does take a mix of those things. Because I could say like, "Oh, well, the ad pointed them there," but they went to go check to see if we're real. And that's what I tell our clients. Like, your people expect for you, just like they expect for you to have a phone number and somebody that they can pick up the phone and call. They expect for you to be available on social media, just like they expect you to have an email. Some are expected to have a storefront, whether that's a website or whether that's an actual building. It's an expectation, and it builds credibility.
Mhm.
So I think no matter what, any of those other things that have sent someone to us, whether it be the podcast, whether it be going to events, they all are looking at our social media and our website and our online presence to be like, are they legit and do I want to work with them?
Okay. Yeah.
It's hard to say it's just one. I think it's always a mix, but I do think organic social media, we get a lot of people that say they found us that way.
Yeah, and it is hard to tell where it originated from in these days, right? Because there are so many different things, unless you have a CR code or a separate phone number or whatever to track
Right.
where it comes.
Especially as a service industry business, because, we have a lot of CPG clients and I can tell you exactly, okay, they spent $3,000, they made $50,000. All right. So what were the campaigns that worked? Let's do it again because it's a direct purchase on their website. So
Right.
when it's a service business, you do have to kind of track, all right, what are the activities we're doing? What are we doing that's different? There are tracking links that we can set up. We measure the traffic that goes to a website. But sometimes it's also just training this person who picks up the phone at the front desk to
Ask
ask
them.
and
Right.
market,
Yeah.
and then to say, all right, well, I have a service client now. It's a concierge vet client, and they put $3,000 into their advertising in the last 90 days. And
Uh,
we've done other activities, so it's not just advertising. And obviously, there's a fee behind us, but they can correlate the 90 days of working with us with $70,000 in sales.
yeah, exactly. You have to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way you can measure.
To me, my whole job is to disappear on your P&L. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want
Well,
anybody to be like, what? I want everybody to be like, oh, yes, this is the cost of them, but remember, this is the ROI. So like, and then everybody's like, okay, great.
right. Yeah. I mean, marketing should be self-funded. You should have an unlimited marketing budget when marketing is done right. You
Yeah,
can't.
and when I started, it was right around the crash in 2008. So it was like marketing was like the first thing to get cut. And in any organization is like, we don't know what they do, get rid of them. And so
Because they don't test and measure, they don't.
right.
So many businesses think marketing is just throwing money down a black hole. It doesn't
Yep.
work. Marketing doesn't work. Well, the fact is 90% doesn't work. You have to keep trying little bits until you find the one that does, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, that's actually what inspired me to ensure that like that was really something that we were really big on and clear on, is measuring results and like, hey, for this amount of money, this is what we can do. We can't do this. So again, you talked about agencies that promise the world. And I've seen clients that come to us and I'm looking at all the things they said they would do. And I'm like, for the cost, I'm like, they just physically can't do this. Now they overpromise, which is unfortunate. Um, but I think that's really it, is you really have to know you know, what you're getting.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to prove your value because I learned that very early on is like, oh gosh, to keep even my job, just to keep my job, I need to prove my value. I need
Yeah.
people to understand what marketing does. And so I've really carried that into the business because if you can prove your worth, you're not getting cut.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and marketing is just math. I mean,
Yeah.
it's math, right?
Yeah.
So, man, we spend a lot of time focusing on the business and sharing some best practices with the audience. Thanks for that. I'd like to step back a little bit, dive into your journey a bit more. So you kind of mentioned why you chose to go into business for yourself, but what was that transition like for you?
I found it to be pretty seamless. And here's why. I was quite a hustler when I was younger. So even when I worked full time, I worked for a digital marketing consultant. Um and she was really like that's why I decided I wanted to work at an agency at the first place, but she really showed me how online business works. And I kind of watched her do everything and the tools that she used. So when I left a big agency and didn't have like some of the tools that they used, I actually knew the tools I should be using, and actually some that were much more seamless than the things the big agency were using. So I think the hardest part about going full time on your own is at first it's really lonely because you don't have a team. So
Mhm.
you're doing it all. You don't have the same resources and you don't have so and so you can call in for a brainstorm and be like, "Hey, I need 5 people to come. I know you've done this on a campaign. I'm stuck on this client." So you have to find that for yourself. So that would be my best advice to someone is don't sit and eat lunch at your same desk in your same house and never leave. You have to then go find and create that community for yourself. Um, and so that's something that I did early on. Like after the first year, I was like, all right, it's time to go like find people, like some more people, not just, people online, but also like there's got to be other people doing similar things that I'm doing. And I at the time, 1701, I'm right in Virginia Beach, oceanfront. And the Vibe District was not even a thing when I started here, and they ended up creating like an art district for creatives.
Mhm.
But I was living off 19th at the time. So when 1701 was a community co-working space, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go and get a desk there. And then I met other people and got to be like, oh, what is your business? And it just helps inspire you and reinvigorate you and motivate you. And then it was like the stepping stone to, all right, maybe I need my own space shared with a couple other creatives. And then the stepping stone next was, all right, now it's time to maybe get my own space because now I have other team members. So
Right.
I
Mhm.
wouldn't have done it without doing that. And I don't know that I ever would have grown if I didn't get out of my own desk and my own computer.
Yeah. Looking back, what's been the most memorable roadblock or hurdle that you were challenged with and forced to overcome?
Oh man, there's been a lot. I think the two that stand out the most are one, COVID. I mean, you started this podcast because of COVID. I actually started a Facebook group because of COVID because every one of my clients, except for one, which was a healthcare client, had to close their doors and didn't know for how long. And I saw my other business friends that I had made in the community just really, for lack of better words, kind of freaking out. I think we all were. So COVID was tough. And then I was home with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and my husband was in the mortgage industry, so he was very busy. So he didn't come out of a hole of an office from upstairs. So I was, the gal who always wanted to be a mom, but not a stay-at-home mom, became one, but also still had to stay on top of, I had one client. So in some ways, the universe helped us there in some ways. If I look back and say, like, wow, it gave me a lot of walking time in a kid's wagon to be like, what do I want to do and what do I want to create? And I knew after my second kiddo that it was my last. And that's my pivotal moment of I had created a lifestyle business for myself. And after I had him, I realized what's the point? I'm going to show up and work just as hard every day. What am I creating? Am I leaving behind a legacy? Am I really creating this place that like other women specifically can do this, can have a full-time job? And I didn't have full-time employees then. And um work hard and still be able to be with their children. Like, how do I do that? So he was 2 when COVID hit. And that really did push me all those long walks with the kids to be like, all right, what am I creating? Is this really what I want? And to really refocus that. And I will say, I gave a lot of my time to other businesses for free during that time. And it all comes back around. I just kept a good attitude. And then the second one was I had a business partner and they really didn't want to grow. And that was really hard because the train was off the tracks. And we had all felt like there was this sailboat. It was like, really, it's like a sailboat, and somebody forgot to bring in the anchor. And you're like, why aren't we sailing? Like, I thought we did all the things. And the anchor was her, unfortunately. And it really was because it just, that's wasn't where her heart was.
Right.
And she failed to bring that up. And we were already moving. She never said, hey, I don't want all this. I don't want this responsibility. I liked it when it was just two or three of us and we skipped a happy hour and there weren't as many responsibilities.
Yeah.
So that was really hard transition to really just, there's a lot in it. I mean, it took over a year and a half for me to fully own the business. And so it was a lot of decisions and hardships with that, but it was the best learning lesson. And what we all wanted at 27 is very different than what we want now. And
Yeah.
I am really glad that I went through it, and I hope to help other people that also go through it as well. So those are my two hardest things.
Let's fast forward now. What comes next? Where do you see the business in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh man. So my goal has always been to grow to a $10 million agency. I don't really know why that number necessarily. It just always was the number in my head. We just recently acquired a paid ads agency. I think acquisition is a great way to grow. So
Mhm.
my goal is to continue to acquire as it makes sense for us and our growth, and also to just really build an agency and a business and a place to work that people love and enjoy and people stay, and that we really do really cool work with really cool clients that nobody ever saw possible. So
So you talked about your goal, $10 million agency. What's been your approach to goal setting, and how many goals do you set at a time, and at what time frame?
yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I've always been a big believer in visuals. So I've done vision boarding forever. And I remember right around COVID, we did vision boarding and we did our own sense of vision boarding and goals. We put goal labels on champagne bottles and put them in the fridge and said, when we hit this goal, we can open the bottle of champagne. I don't know a better motivator, but here it is. Um, and it was amazing when you said like, oh my God, we hit $15,000 this month. I mean, we get to open that bottle. We never thought we'd get there. And then it's like the next thing. So I still, now that I have much larger team, we do vision boarding
Mhm.
every January or February, depending on when it lands. And we get together and we cut and scrap and talk about our own personal goals, but also our business goals. We do SMART goals within personally, each person here. And then I do it for the agency. And I'm very transparent about those goals with everyone else and my own personal goals and how, like, what I owe to them. They all owe something to the agency, and so do I. I
Mhm.
owe something to them and the agency. So we set those goals at the beginning of the year and check in monthly and then quarterly on those goals. And then for different teams, and depending on where it is, the goals and the reviewing of those goals are different. But I think if you don't have a goal, you're just wandering around.
That's right.
And sometimes those goals will change, COVID hits and you're like, well,
Yeah.
we got to rethink and pivot that goal. But that's okay, because I think then you say, all right, well, we're not going to hit that this year, but we will next year. And here's how we're going to do it. We're just going to do it differently. And if COVID didn't happen, we would have never thought about it that way. I mean, how many businesses started in COVID? So
Yeah. 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 So, and then writing the business goals down, as you talk to people, yeah, they have goals. Well, they're written down. Well, no. Well, they're really just a hope then, they're not
yeah,
really, you got to get written down. So that's awesome. I love that idea about putting it on a champagne bottle. It'd have to be like a bourbon bottle for me, but
yeah, you pick your bottle. I'm just gonna be sparkling water. So we
yeah.
hang our vision boards at our office. Everybody's is hung.
Mhm.
And we change it out. And then our goals and SMART goals also get built into our Asana. So you see it and you see your progress on your goal. You have tasks under it, and
Yeah.
you can see like, all right, you're 80% complete on this goal as you start to move through the tasks that help you get there.
Right, right. So yeah, not just the goal, but all the strategies that you have to put in place to make it happen. So that's awesome. So you know, we've covered a lot of ground today. It's some great conversation. I still got a lot more to go, but I'm going to kind of skip stuff, running out of time. But
I know I'm a
uh,
talker, Kelly. Should have
no,
warned
it's awesome though. But
you.
so as we begin to wrap up, just a couple rapid fire questions, kind of quick
Sure.
top of the head answers. Okay.
Okay,
So
no
what
pressure.
is the key to success for you?
Determination and grit, just never giving up and having a vision and going for it no matter what bumps come along the road.
What's one piece of advice that you'd give somebody thinking about going into business for themselves?
I would say go ask other business owners, go talk to them, go work in the industry and the business that you want to work in. The best piece of advice I could give someone is like learn on someone else's dime. And then just know it's going to be hard, but it will 100% be worth it if you surround yourself with people that are smarter with you than you, and people that support you.
What's one book that you're reading or listening to that you've listened to lately, that you feel you'd want to share with somebody?
From suck to success. That's what it is. Todd Palmer. I was like in need of like some motivation, and I think we all kind of go through ruts, and his entrepreneurial journey is amazing. So I highly recommend that book.
Okay, awesome. So if you had to choose only one area of your business that you could immediately improve tomorrow, what would it be?
Oh, I would, if I could hire some of the best, more of some of the best, I would say, creatives, from a video and photography standpoint, I would do it today.
Awesome. So before we get into the final questions of the day, how can others learn more about you, your company, and how can they get in contact?
Yeah, so mixandshine.com is our website. My email is Rachael, Rachael at mixandshine.com. So feel free to send me an email. And you can also follow us on TikTok at Mix and Shine and on Instagram at Mix and Shine Marketing.
Awesome. So final question, what inspires you most these days?
Oh man. I think the journey inspires me. You know, when I think about the impact I want to leave, both on the people around me, but on others that I don't even know, I think it's all about the journey. And I try to enjoy every moment of the journey because that's really what it's all about. You know, I'm gonna turn around and be 60, 70, 80 years old. And I hope that I don't look back and say, like, whoa, I really should have enjoyed it during that time because it's hard to in those moments, but that really inspires me. And I would say other entrepreneurs. I surround myself with other entrepreneurs of all different businesses. And I will tell you, the problems are all the same. It doesn't matter if you own a franchise business that employs teenage girls, like a Plato's Closet, or you have a construction business. Like it's all the same problems. And so, yeah, that inspires me the most. And I will just say, shameless shout out, Sarah Blakely is my like be all end all, love her. So she inspires me.
Awesome, awesome. So, Rachel, that wraps up the interview. Really been fun talking with you. Thanks so
You
much for
too.
being today.
Well, thanks for having me.